So continuing on with our reading of Iliad book 6, and we were up to line 297. And so at this point Hecabe, the mother of Hector, has taken the old women up to the temple of Athena, and they're about to make offerings. So Haidi hoti neon hikanon Athenas en polie acre. But they, the women, when they came to the temple of Athena in the Acropolis, in the high city, in the high part of the city. Theano is the subject here, and she's Callipereos, and she's the daughter of Cistheus. Cistheus was the king of Thrace, so she's a princess really. So Theano of the beautiful cheeks, Callipereos, daughter of Cistheus, Oixe. Now this is from oignumi, which is to open, and so this is an aorist form here. You can sort of see how it's formed. It's augmented, but the iota hasn't gone subscript. So she opened for them the doors, and she was the alakos, she is the wife of horse taming hippotamoio, horse taming Antenor. For the Trojans, even though she comes from Thrace, the Trojans had placed her from Tithame, they had appointed her as priestess of Athena. Hai Pasai, these are all the women. Ololuge is a funny word. It's this is a dative noun here. It's a ritual female cry. This is the only time it's actually used in the Iliad, but it's common in later Greek. It means something like to scream out olalalologoi. So it's a ritual cry generally used by females. So all of them, you could say, with a shriek. So all of the women with a shriek, an eskon from an echo, they held up their hands to Athena. And she, Theano, with the beautiful cheek, the beautiful cheeks, Helusa, this is from Hyrio again, having taken the stem hel, this is a feminine participle, having taken then the robe, she placed it, from Tithame, on the knees of beautiful haired Athena, beautiful tressed Athena. And praying, she prayed. Now there's no real difference between these. This is from Euchomai, this is from Araamai. So in prayer, she prayed in prayer to the daughter of great Zeus, and she says, Potnia Athena, Lady Athena. We've seen that Potnia before. It's a term of respect, especially for women. Lady Athena, Rusiptoli. Now you can see the roots here. This is from Ruamai, to save, and Ptoli from polis, the saver of cities, which is appropriate under the circumstance because she wants Athena to rescue the city. Dia, divine or glorious among goddesses. Divine among goddesses. Axon. Now that one is another one of these me verbs. This is from agnumi. This is the aorist imperative from agnumi. It's quite regularly formed. You see the root is ag, and they've added on the usual ending, and the gamma's turned into a xi, so it's break. Break then, the day is very strong, almost smash the spear of Diomedes. And also, now dos here is from Didomi in the sense of grant. So grant that he, Pesane from pipto, to fall, that he might fall prania, face down, pro paroithi, in front of the Scaean gates. So when you've done all that, now it's Autica Nun, it's not really now, but it's at that time, so it's so that then, at that time, and this line is very similar to the one we had before with just the appropriate changes, so it's typical of this Homeric structure where you've got set phrases and things that you just can reuse and you just modify them to fit the context. So that at that time then we will sacrifice 12 oxen in the temple, 1 year old, untouched by the goad, exactly the same as we had before, if you might have pity on the city and the wives of the Trojans and their young children. So it's the same, exactly the same phrase, just modified slightly to fit the context. So that's her prayer, and thus speaking she prayed, but Pallas Athena and Enue, now that means to nod up, and when you nod up that was a sign of refusal, so Athena didn't agree to do this. Interestingly, there was no mention in Helenus's instructions to Hector about smashing the spear of Diomedes. It was just keep him away from the city. So the prayer here is somewhat more than what was expected, or what the seer had said they should do, and perhaps that explains why Athena, or partially explains why Athena says, no, I'm not going to do that. Anyway, hose, thus, notice the accent when it's like that often means hose, so thus the women were praying to the daughter of great Zeus, but Hector went, this is Bebe came from Bino, it literally stepped to the houses of Paris, the beautiful houses, and keeps back the colour to the next line, with some enjambment there. They're not just any old houses, they're colour, they're beautiful houses. And this is typical of Homer too. I often think of when you read Homer, it's a little bit like a camera, and you get the camera focused on one thing and then suddenly it moves somewhere else, and that's what's happened here. So here we have this long scene of the women at the temple, and then suddenly it's going to shift back to Hector. So Hector, we just translate went to the houses, the beautiful houses of Alexander, that's Paris, and relative pronoun ta for ha, which he himself made from Tuco, with men who were at that time the best in Troy, which is very fertile. Eribolax is the word, this is a third declension adjective. Eri is that little prefix meaning strong, and the word is epibolax. Eribolax, very fertile. And these men were tectones, they were craftsmen, perhaps builders or craftsmen. So these were the best craftsmen at that time in very fertile Troy. And they, now we get these two hoys, notice the difference between them, you can see from the accent, this one's reflexive, this is the auto, and this is the relative pronoun. So who for him, this one for autoi. So who made the thalamon, the chamber or bedroom perhaps, and the house and the courtyard, hoi for him, enguthi near Priam and Hector, en pole acre, up in the high part of the city. And there Hector entered, Hector who is Philos dei, dear to Zeus, entered in. And now Eke is without, it's unaugmented, but it must be an imperfect here from echo. He held en keri in his hands his enkos, his spear, which was 10 plus 1 is 11 cubits. And I didn't calculate how many metres that is, but you can check that. Interestingly, later on in book 15, we're told that Ajax has a spear which is 22 cubits. So this is not as big as Ajax's one, but it's still quite long, 11 cubits. And the now the subjects on the next line, this is Aikme Calcae, the bronze. The Aikme is the spearhead, so the bronze spearhead duros, literally of the wood, so of the spear. Lampeto, with no augment, was shining paroithi in front of him. Now porkes is a nominative form. I know it looks genitive, but it's actually, you look it up, it's actually a nominative. So this is the gold ring or band. This is what holds the spearhead onto the wooden spear. So there was a gold band, the from theo, to run, so ran around it. A gold band or ring ran around it, to hold it all together, and he found him, that is Paris, in his bedroom, in his chamber, and his heponta. This is from hepo. This is a participle, it's agreeing with ton. So this is Paris, and it means to make ready. So he was making ready, or getting ready, his very beautiful armour. His aspis, his shield, and his breastplate. And he was aphoonta. This is from hafa'o. This is from hafa'o, which means it's handling. Probably not that much different from heponta. Well, heponta is more of getting ready. This is sort of handling, playing with in his hands, his curved bow. So he was handling his curved bow. And Argive Helen, Hestot, the next line, sat with, there's that ara again, which is hard to translate, sort of as you might expect, her servant women, her house women, and she was ordering, so she was giving orders to the servants, so bidding the servants understand to get on with their pericluta, erga, literally their very famous works, so it's, well, their noble tasks. And Hektor, when he saw Paris, Nekesen is from nekeo. Nekeo is the verb here, to quarrel. So he quarrelled, when he saw him, he quarrelled with him with harsh, or it's actually disgraceful, so harsh or rude words. And we'll find out what they are in the next video.